There's a part of the internet economy that almost nobody talks about, and once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. You open TikTok, you scroll for a few minutes, you see someone talking about an app, then another video about the same app, then another one. And it almost looks like regular content, like normal creators just posting things they like, but a lot of the time that's not actually what is happening. Behind the scenes, there's a completely different system. A system where apps work with creators in a way that most people do not understand. And that system is actually how we ended up working with multiple apps and eventually making over $42,000 in a single month as a student. So in this video, I want to explain how this whole model actually works because it's very different from what people usually imagine when they hear brand deals or influencer marketing. Hi, I'm Mochi. If you watched my previous video, you might already know a bit about my story, but if you're new here, I'm a university student who somehow ended up working with tech apps by creating short-form content for them. Most people think working with brands on social media looks like this. A company finds an influencer, they pay them a few hundred or a few $1,000s, the influencer posts one video, and that's it. One post, one payment, end of collaboration. And that definitely exists, but that's not the model I've been working with. What I do is much closer to content production at scale, and the structure is completely different. One of the biggest differences is that you're usually not posting on your personal account. Instead, creators often create separate pages from zero for the apps they work with. So follower count doesn't really matter, your personal brand doesn't matter, your audience doesn't matter, and all that matters is whether the content performs. This is why someone with 0 followers can still start doing this kind of work, because the platform algorithm decides who sees the video and not your follower count. Now you might wonder, why would companies structure things like this? Why not just work with big influencers? The answer is actually pretty simple. Apps need massive amounts of content. Not one video, not 10 videos, hundreds, sometimes thousands, because the way apps grow today is through constant content distribution. They need creators posting videos every day, testing different formats, trying different hooks, seeing what works. And when something performs well, they double down on that format. So instead of relying on one big influencer, they work with many creators producing content consistently. Another thing that surprises people is how the payment structure works, because it's usually not just a flat payment per video. There's typically a base pay and a bonus system. The base pay can honestly be very small, sometimes even something like $6 per video, which sounds terrible if you only look at the base. But the real money comes from the performance bonuses. If a video hits certain milestones, views, engagement, installs, you start unlocking additional bonuses. And those bonuses can become much bigger than the base pay. And this is where the strategy changes, because if the system is based on your performance, your goal is not to just post one perfect video. Your goal is to create a lot of content and increase your chances of hitting those milestones. This is why creators in this space often post multiple videos per day. Not because they're trying to spam the internet, but because they're increasing the number of experiments. The more experiments you're on, the higher the chances that something works. This is exactly what happened to me with the language learning app I talked about in my previous video. For a long time, my videos were just performing normally, nothing special. And then one format suddenly started working. The videos where I was struggling to pronounce words, getting frustrated and being dramatic. Once that format started performing well, everything kind of changed, because now I understood what kind of content people actually wanted to watch. And once you figure that out, you can create variations of that format again and again. The reason this model is becoming more common is because the internet has changed how marketing works. Companies used to rely on TV ads, billboards, and traditional advertising. Now the most powerful distribution channel is social media content. And social media rewards authentic looking videos, not polished advertisements. So companies need creators who can produce content that feels natural on the platform. And they need a lot of it, which is why this creative model is growing very quickly. But I think the biggest misunderstanding about this whole space is that people assume it is easy or that it's just quick money. And that's really not the case, because the difficult part is consistency. You have to keep creating, keep experimenting, keep posting, even when videos flop. You gotta keep testing different formats. And most people honestly don't stay consistent long enough to see the results. But if you do stay consistent, the online opportunities are pretty incredible. Because unlike traditional jobs, the ceiling is not fixed. Your income is basically tied to how much content you create, how well you understand the platforms, and how well your content performs. And once you start understanding how the internet actually distributes content, you begin to see opportunities literally everywhere. So yeah, that's the model I've been working with for the past year. It's a strange little corner of the internet economy that most people don't really see, but once you understand it, a lot of things on social media suddenly make much more sense. And on this channel, I want to talk more about this whole world, how content works, how the creator economy works, and what it actually looks like behind the scenes, because it's honestly a fascinating place. So if you're interested in that, subscribe. And in the next videos, I'll talk about what posting over 1,000 videos taught me about going viral, because that part is even more interesting.